welcome back to the channel, troops. In this video, we are continuing the series, What I Use and Why. This time taking a look at gear and what gear I select from my pretty extensive collection for an average airsoft skirmish or indeed Milsim. From boots to backpacks, first line belts to plate carriers, and even the Gucci stuff like nods. We're going to give you the ultimate lowdown of everything I wear from head to toe to help inform your next gear purchase. Okay, so plate carriers. The base is Warrior Assault Systems. Sometimes they get a bad rap, and I think it's an unfair bad rap. I like Warrior, nice, middle of the road brand that's not gonna let you down, but it's also not gonna break the bank. So, talking about not breaking the bank, up here, this is just off AliExpress. It's just a phone pouch, okay? It does have some like retention device in there as well for holding onto the phone, but really my phone sits in there nice and snug. Next, 3 rapid rifle magazine pouches from Stab Solutions. You are going to hear a lot of Stab Solutions throughout, certainly the plate carrier aspect of this video. I wouldn't be so keen about the mutual support between myself and Stab Solutions if I didn't love the brand. It's just high quality. And I've had these pouches now for a good couple of years, and we're only starting to see a little bit of wear and tear. You know, they've weathered really nicely. And they're still firing on all cylinders. We've got a pistol magazine pouch, again from Stab. When it comes to Stab Solutions, go on the website and use the code HAD10, it'll all be on screen, HAD10, and that's gonna get you 10% off of your order at the checkout. And I say again, troops, I cannot recommend them highly enough. Now, because we're talking about magazines and, you know, reloads and whatnot, we'll talk about this dump pouch. The Sword, okay, that's S-O-R-D, it's an Australian brand. You get a holder up here for Asylum. Okay, I've got this configured as a buzzsaw. A buzzsaw is a Asylum with a bit of string on the end that you swing around really, really fast, like a lasso. Sometimes it's called a lasso. Great to signal that you're in distress. And then as a dump pouch itself, it's really roomy. You can get a lot in there, and actually there's some gloves in here. So while we're looking at this kit, we'll talk about gloves. These are Helicon Techs, okay, Helicon, however you say it, let me know in the comments. I like a glove to be quite a tight fit so that I've got maximum dexterity. Now, when it comes to these cummerbunds, okay, now Charlie from JVG gave me these a couple of years ago. I don't know where they're from. It's got the kind of quick release snap here, so you're gonna get your plate carrier on and off pretty quickly, but for the life of me, I don't remember the brand. On the inside here, this inside pouch is where my radio goes. So on the back here, pretty clear. I'm not a big back panel guy. However, I do have a sandbag here on the back, an essentials pouch from Stab Solutions. And then here we've got a Gerber seatbelt cutter. And this is the kind of current issue, regular British Army helmet, okay? If you haven't seen the video on how to prepare the camouflage in this style, go ahead and do that now. It will be on screen as if magically. And yeah, it's just a little short tutorial video on how I like to scrim up my helmet. What have I got on here? You'll notice there's no wild accessories on here. I like my helmet setup to be quite stripped back. Each to their own, everybody likes to do it differently. The only things I've got on here, I've got some cat's eyes, okay, running all around the side here. What we have here on the back is the horizontal counterweight pouch from Stab Solutions and the rifle's back badge. If you're a rifleman, you will know exactly what that is for and why it is important. And what it says on the tin, I've just got in here a couple of counterweights for the nods that we're going to look at in a second. And then the only other thing I've got on here, which we'll see in a second with the nods, is part of the Stab night vision retention device. That is going to make sure that the nods do not fall off my head if we have some kind of incident. Nods by Reaper Night Optics. If you haven't checked those guys out, please go ahead and do that. They offer nod rental packages for events in the UK. So things like JBG, Defiant, etc. You're going to be able to get a whole setup to run nods on that event for a rental fee rather than having to go out and buying them. So when I'm running nods, my setup is a Wilcox mount supplied by Reaper. So that will go on there like that. So these will clip onto the Wilcox mount like so, and then I make sure that that retention device is plumbed in. And that is the extent to which I will run a helmet setup. I've got the nods, I've got the counterweight, I've got the retention device. That's it. I ain't running nothing else. It's about camouflage, it's about concealment, and it's about gaining the edge when it comes to night ops with the nods, okay, from Reaper Night Optics. So that is the extent, like I say, of my helmet setup. It ain't gonna get any more complicated than that, troops. So before we move away from kind of like the head area, okay, move on to the next category, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Block Tactical. Okay, I've been affiliated with them now for a good couple of years, and again, for good reason. Absolutely fantastic eye pro, and obviously no fog. Kind of got a treatment baked into them at the point of manufacture. This isn't a treatment that you spray on or anything like that. Had 10, get yourself 10% off at the checkout. All right, troops, we're gonna take a quick look now at clothing, specifically camouflage. So with classic DPM, this is just out of an army surplus shop. I think this cost me £7 or £8, okay? Really cheap, really cheerful, and absolutely, guys, go to those surplus shops. Go and find those secondhand bargains. Then we've got DDPM, which is obviously part of my brand as Hades Airsoft. This actually is one of the ones that I took out to Afghanistan. So, yeah, DDPM for me, I think, apart from just looking cool, it is an amazing desert camouflage pattern, and it works in a variety of different deserty conditions. It's not a sophisticated pattern, but I think therein lies its efficacy. It just works. Keeping with the desert theme, we've got Desert Marpat from the US Marine Corps, similar to the DDPM, a fantastic desert pattern. And you might at first glance think, well, hey, there's a lot of straight lines here. We don't have any straight lines in nature, and you'd be right to think that. But the Digicam pattern isn't designed to be effective at, you know, a meter. It's designed to be effective at the kind of battlefield conditions way out there. And at a distance, even at a distance of maybe 15, 20 meters, all this blurs together. These are quite thick. I don't know who in the US Marine Corps kind of clothing department thought that this would be, you know, a good idea for desert conditions, because once you've got the trousers on, once you've got the top on, it's quite thick and it's also quite heavy. And then we're going to look at the famous multicam, Cry Precision multicam specifically, because they're the ones that came up with it. This pair of trousers, the combat trousers with the integrated knee pad, could cost you anywhere from sort of 300 to 350 pounds. And then these knee pads are about another 50 pounds. So it's a very expensive clothing brand. However, I never ever pay full price for Cry. I go on eBay, I go on Facebook Marketplace, or I buy them off, you know, friends I've still got that are serving, or they square me away. And yeah, would I pay 350 quid for a set of Cry? No, but you know, would I pay 200? Yes, and I have. I think these ones here, they cost me about 100. These are the exact same as the combat trousers with the knee pads, but they just don't have any knee pads. So when it's a little bit warmer here in the Canaries, or I'm going to be operating out in a more open environment, not so much a CQB environment, I probably would choose the field trouser or the field pant. So that is clothing. Right, troops, boots. Now, when it comes to footwear, I do get asked a lot of questions about, you know, what are the best boots for Airsoft, Milsim, etc. And there is really no right or wrong answer. One, comes down to personal taste. Two, budget. And three, most importantly, what you're going to use them for. Buy the kit that is going to be suited to the environment that you're going to be working in, playing in, etc. the most. Okay, so starting off with these here. These were the boots I had out in Afghanistan. These are from Magnum. Good example of a desert boot made with suede, not normal leather. And they are designed to keep your feet nice and cool in those kind of desert environments. And I bought a pair of these exact same boots in brown for about 30 quid, I think it was. Great buy. Here, these are very dirty. I'll apologize for that example of the Aku boots. Okay, so these again, British Army issue, okay, or British Forces issue. It's a much heavier boot than the desert boot, but it is a much more of an all-rounder. I think these are waterproof, these ones. Aren't they waterproof? Yes, see, these are the waterproof ones. Now, these are the boots I've been wearing pretty much constantly for the last 2 years. It is the Salomon X Ultra Pioneer 2. I've just read that from the side. This is, in comparison to these guys, quite a low ankle boot, and you can actually get a version of these that are even lower. I personally don't recommend that. I think when you're talking about Airsoft and Milsim, or if you are in a military profession, you always want that ankle support. This is as low as I would ever go. The ankle is still supported, but it's a crucial cut off here. I wouldn't go any lower than that, okay? But this is like wearing a trainer. These, I think for Airsoft and Milsim, great all-rounder. That is going to be all you need, is the Salomon. Okay, so now we're going to look at my shooter's belt, battle belt, war belt first line belt. There's a bunch of different names for it, but it's all essentially the same concept, okay? Now, this is all Stab Solutions, the whole belt, except two things. One is the holster, okay? And the other one is this pouch from Odin Tactical, okay? But this was given to me by a very, very dear friend of mine, and that will be staying on there for the foreseeable future. Low profile admin pouch from Odin, but what else have I got on here? I've got two Rapid Rifle CQB magazine pouches, Stab Solutions, as I've said, it's all from Stab, and these you'll notice are half size in comparison to the other ones. And that means that you're gonna get a much quicker draw on that reload. And then I've got a tourniquet holder here. Now, a lot of people say to me, why do you bother wearing a tourniquet? This is only airsoft, blah, 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 blah. God forbid, out and about, somebody has a bad accident and they're absolutely bleeding all over the shop. I can apply a tourniquet and get them out of Dodge. Simple as that. Over to this side here. Now we're talking about the right-hand side. This is a grenade pouch holster. Again, British Army issue. It's the Glock holster. This is all from Stab, called a G-Wrap. It's this nice little sticker. These are quite hard to come by on the black market, but any kind of holster is going to do you well. And then last but not least, over here, we've got a little bit of black electrical tape. Throughout this whole little segment, I've been holding the belt down, and that's because this has that polymer running all the way through it, okay? However, you're still nice and flexible. So when this is on your waist, it's perfectly comfortable. It moves with you, and it keeps all of this heavy stuff in the place that you want. Now we're gonna look at backpacks. Now there's a bunch of different names for these. In the British Army, we call them day sacks. I'm gonna take you through just 3 of my day sack collection. And this one is the Camelback Talon. Now there's a reason I've got a little smile on my face, because these are absolutely mythical. The Talon day sack was hard to find back in 2010. I actually had 2 at once, but I sold one like an idiot. They are just an amazing day sack. Why, I hear you ask? I think partly it's this odd design where you've got this kind of main compartment, and then you've got this compartment here on the front. The big one with the Talon was the fact that you could get really awkward things in there, like shoulder-fired rockets. You get those lengthways in there. I've seen engineers use like the mouse hole charges, put those in there. The Valen, so the metal detector we used out in Afghan. They're not a massive, massive day sack. Like they're more of like a medium, I'd say. The Camelback Talon, an amazing bit of kit. Absolutely love it. It's just a classic and it ain't going nowhere. So sticking with Camelback, just to show you 2 of the models that I've got. This is the Hawg. The Hawg is spelled H-A-W-G. I don't know what it means. With these side straps, you've got the ability to expand or contract them. I'd say the Hawg is a great modern alternative to the Talon if you can't get hold of it, which you probably won't be able to. It's got 2 compartments, so quite a big compartment here. And then the main compartment itself, again, very generous. So it's almost like a TARDIS, this day sack. You know, it looks small. With proper packing, you're gonna get a lot into it. Initially, when I first got this, I thought, these straps, they're a bit thin. The Talon straps are very padded, and a lot of the older models of Camelback, the straps are very, very padded. But I can get this much, much higher on my back just by virtue of the newer strap design, I guess. And it's very, very comfortable because I can get it very, very high up. So if you're wearing a day sack, a backpack, even if you're going to school, going to work, going to uni, whatever, make sure, first of all, that we're double strapping. I don't want to see any single strappers out there, but also keep that high up. Last but not least is the helmet cargo pack, I believe that's what it's called, from Warrior Assault Systems. Now, this is probably the day sack that I get the most use out of on the regular. Similar to the Talon, it's very versatile. It's got this kind of mesh pouch here on the front, which is designed to fit a helmet. A lot of the time I use it to put pelly cases. So these cases here where I carry my camera. So the main compartment is pretty snug. And once you add that water bladder in there, that's gonna take up quite a lot of space. You're only really gonna get, I'd say maybe 3 gas bottles, you know, the normal size gas bottles. You probably get 3 across there and a bag of BBs. You don't really need much else, troops. You've got all these other bits and pieces. Right, troops, there you have it. That was what I actually use. Kit and Equipment Edition. There's a bunch of different brands there to look at, like Solomon, Camelback, Warrior, Stab Solutions, Odin. You know, it's gonna come down to your budget. You know, sadly, we've all got a budget, and that is a fact of life. You know, this is a hobby and we can only put so much money into it. A lot of this, obviously, I've carried over from my military career, which is great. You know, going out and buying all this would be wild. If you're unsure about a particular bit of kit and equipment, get it in the comments, ask me some questions, tell me what you're using, okay? Don't forget to get in that comment section and get the conversation flowing. Tell me what you would like to see more of on the channel. Troops, thank you very much indeed for watching the video. Please don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time on the channel.